Hey, True Believers, England Teen here with another batch of new book reviews. I always gotta check out the new DCeased. I'm really enamored with this series, I think. So, as usual, doing comic book reviews of books that at the time of the recording are on the shelf. I always try to get a DC, a Marvel, and an independent. Sometimes, of course, because of distribution these days, can't always do that. But with all that aside, let's get this party started. Alrighty, and first we are going to start off with DCeased, Hope at the End of the World. This is chapter number 6 of their digital first here. And yeah, Tom Taylor is actually crafting a pretty good story. Just actually a whole world and a universe around this DCeased idea. I'm pretty excited every time an issue comes out. This, though, is one of the weaker chapters. And in general, I enjoy this. I'm not saying don't check out the DCeased books by any means at all. But what we've got here is a group of heroes that, in all honesty, I'm not incredibly familiar with. I know they're new. I've seen this one dude in the Suicide Squad books recently. But ultimately, I gotta say I didn't have any real emotional connection to them. Except for, you know, of course, you don't want the good guys to die. That being said, it's all talking about, oh, on their way is Black Adam and a whole horde of dead people, and what are we going to do about this? And I'm thinking, well, Black Adam's got the speed of Superman, so he should have arrived in the time it took you to talk about it. But that actually doesn't happen, and we do get this kind of characterization here, and of course everybody's afraid they're going to die, and they know that the inevitable, and they try to create a sense of dread. And at least I got to give that up to them. You know, they understand. Tom Taylor does understand where the bread is buttered on this particular issue. You know, you could go for gore, but you really need to care about the characters to care what's happening. It's just, once again, I'm sorry, but Black Adam would have already been there. There would have been no time. If he knew that they were in there, there would have been no time for them to have any of these moments. But that's just me. I understand comics. So, what you gonna do, right? Overall, though, it is an entertaining book, to say at the very least. It's, like I said, not my favorite of the World's End. It's got a lot to live up to, though, as far as that's concerned. And by that I meant, I'm sorry, I meant DCeased and all. Even for these chapters or anything. I don't know. I would probably give this a 3. I wish I could give it more, but that's where we stand. Year Zero, number 2. So I read the first one and I thought it's okay, but the way it's written, you don't really get to know the people who are involved. It tells you one page and it's like their thoughts, but it's not really it's like random thoughts in normal thoughts in an abnormal situation, but it doesn't really give you motivation or reasoning. And I thought, yeah, that was okay, but but the thing is, this book kind of weighed on me. I really want to check it out, and the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. So I picked up the second issue, and I had exactly the same reaction to this issue that I did the first one. I'm like, they're talking about all these characters without actually telling us about all these characters, and I think that's a weakness of the book. But then towards the end, the story starts kicking in. You know, it's not just random videos of these characters. It's actually a story, and I'm not, okay, now we're cooking with gas. So I don't know if they're fooling me into picking up issue number 3 or if it's actually going to be any good or not. But I did enjoy it. I'm going to take a chance. I know this is only like a 5 or 6 issue miniseries, so I might as well go on ahead and finish it, right? But I just hope by the end of this it's actually worth it, because it's like fool me once, right? That's the way I'm feeling here. Like I said, though, towards the end things started to happen, story actually started kicking in, and this got worth it. Now, is it good enough for me to lay my reputation, as stained as it is already, down and say, hey, you should pick it up? In all honesty, at this point, no. I'm sorry. I wish I could say different, but this is one of those 3 stars where I usually say, hey, a 3-star book is something that maybe didn't resonate with me, or it's something that I liked but I'm not well enough to recommend. That's this book right here. I like it, just not enough to recommend it. Not yet, anyway. Now, a book I do like enough to recommend, as a matter of fact, I sing its praises anytime anybody starts up a tune, is Hawkman. This is Hawkman number 25, and they are basically facing down their god, Hawkman and Hawkgirl, and he's laying it out that Hawkman, because of his past transgressions, has kind of been keeping Hawkgirl tethered to him. And, of course, they're not buying into it, and he's like, you can't destroy me, blah, blah, you know, the whole bad guy situation. Of course, they're heroes, and tenacious ones at that, so they, of course, do the we'll never give up kind of thing, and it's basically him giving them their origin of their origin, while they're trying to fight him, and it is not going well for them. As a matter of fact, at one point, the demon here, or the god, whatever you want to call him, severs the tie between Hawkman's mace and himself. You know, he had one of those magical comic book maces where he would throw it at something and it would come back at him. And he severs the tie with it. That doesn't stop them. Of course, they're always on the attack, and that's one thing I do like about the Hawks. This is an awesome book, by the way. Every sense, you get that sense of dread, and if you've been following the character, you do care about them. You care about the relationship between Hawkman and Hawkgirl, the whole 9 yards, and that just makes everything that much better. I wish more writers knew that you have to make us care about the character before we could care about what happens to them. And also, I wish that most writers would stop putting politics into it, but Justice League's on a different review. So anyway, there you go, gang. If you do want to pick up a good comic book, DC Comics, Hawkman. I know I'm not allowed to say this because anytime I overpraise a comic book, they change the creative team to somebody really, really bad. But at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, Hawkman 25 is a book to pick up. That Texas Blood, number 1. So I know I'm late to this particular party. I know I bought issue number 2 off the shelf as well, but in my comic book, issue 1 and 2 are still up there. They do that sometimes with independent comics. You know, if they've still got ones, they'll leave them on the shelf so people can pick them. Hey, there's actually a story being built here. So you know you're confident at least it's going to continue. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I'm reading this book, and it's about this small-town sheriff, and it seems like it's about a small-town sheriff dealing with his wife's casserole bowl, because that takes up dialogue in like 2 pages. I'm like, what the heck am I reading here? This is weird. I mean, why would anybody be interested in a book about an old-ass sheriff talking about his wife's casserole bowl, excuse me? And I kept reading. And I kept reading, and I found out, you know what, I want to know what the freaking hell happens with this sheriff and all the people he's dealing with. Granted, there is some supernatural elements to it. It is a comic book, and comic booky things happen. But I just, this scene right here where he's dealing with, obviously what's going on is some sort of domestic dispute. That's not why he's there. That's the house with the casserole bowl he's got to pick up for his wife. And he gets there, and they're having a bit of a fight. Like I said, there are elements of supernatural here that obviously are going to be explored in later issues. But what I really was impressed in as far as this book is concerned is about the fact that it made me care, not just for the old man, but for the people around him. This is a character story. And that's, as I've been saying throughout this entire thing, that's very important, because once you care about the characters, you start to care about what happens to them. Gee, writing 101, right? How come more people don't get this? Alrighty, let's sum up. And yes, I do put these covers from my favorite book to my least favorite book for the week, but there is no really bad book here. I loved Hawkman 25, and that gave way to That Texas Blood. Like I said, characterization, very strong in both issues, made me care a lot about what was going on, which I'm hoping is the setup for year 0, because they really start needing to tell us a little bit more about not just them, but the world around them. DCeased, while I still enjoyed it, was not as strong as the other chapters. Not that it's bad. I do recommend this series. I recommend, but just this chapter was a little bit weak. But that's just my opinion. What is yours? Let me know in the comments below. If you like the video, click on one of the ones that are popping up around you, and don't forget to hit like and share. Get word out about the channel. That's the most important thing. Well, also, if you'd like to support the channel, go on over to Patreon or Ko-Fi. Links in the description below. Drop $1 in the till. Helps keep the lights on. Helps keep making videos for you. Like, thank everybody who's already done that. To everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.